Agenda, do we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented? So moved. Support. Moved by Dr. Krebs, support by Ms. Tierney. All those in favor? Or sorry, any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any nays? Motion passes 6-0. That brings us to the superintendent report. Dr. Outlaw.
Okay, well, thank you and welcome everybody this evening. About 18 months ago, we had a presentation at the county. We had a panel that came in to talk about artificial intelligence and about the coming trends and how it might impact education. Next day we got together, Dr. Mosier and I, we began talking about our plans for the district, and we formed a district task force, which obviously includes Dr. Mosier, Nick Castile, our technology director, but we tapped 3 people to help lead our efforts in this area, to prepare our teachers, and this is an emerging trend that is going to have both some great positive things, but there's also some things that are scary. We have to do this right. And this task force has done an incredible amount of work to prepare our district for the next generation of education. So I'm going to turn it over to 3 people that have done a fabulous job of helping to prepare this district, helping us get ahead of the game. We've come a long way in 18 months, and we have districts asking questions about what are you doing in this district. So I'm going to turn it over to our Scranton principal, Bill Renner, Tracy Richards, grade level principal at the high school, and Mary Bean, 3rd grade teacher at Hilton Elementary School. An outstanding group. Thank you all. I'm going to turn it over to them.
Well, good evening. Welcome to Scranton. I'm one of the grade level principals here, so my name is Bill Renner and part of the AI Task Force update. And so we're going to cruise through some slides and kind of give you a snapshot of our timeline of what went on. That's how tax goes. First slide. So back in February 2024, LESA developed an AI Task Force. All 5 of the districts in Livingston County. It was also teachers, administrators, building leaders. We all got together and we started to realize, wait, all of us together, we're moving forward together as this whole thing was kind of erupting. We were all at different levels at different speeds, but we found that sticking together was better. As we continued on, we remembered that learning was at the core. It's not about the program or about AI itself. It's about how can we help students engage and get better. We always kept the students first in our conversations, in our breakout groups, in our planning, because it's all about the students. The next part was we realized that getting together and collaborating with our teachers, our building leaders, and also other leaders from other districts, we were able to really collaborate. Rather than working in isolation and silos, Brighton is only over here and Fowlerville's over here, we were working together, sharing ideas in this great exchange that we had. And one thing that we noticed was simply that no matter where you were in your comfort zone about the AI piece, everyone had something to share and everyone could learn. Then we realized, wait, Brighton is a little bit different, and yes, maybe we were a little bit, yes we are, and we're going to be. We made it so it was a tailored approach, so we took some of those ideas and we started figuring out how we could make it for us. It wasn't just one size fits all, because we realized that planning and preparation, the vision that we had, could be the vision for all of us here, benefiting the students for sure. But we needed some clarity, we needed some direction, and so we started with teachers. We started letting them know a couple different AI pieces, and they were already trying it. We started bringing it into the classroom, letting the students explore with it, not as a gimmick, but as simple as, hey, you tell us, because sometimes as adults, we don't ask the kids when we really should. The next part was, why are we doing this all in isolation when the district has a mission statement, vision statement, and a strategic plan? So then we started to bind it all together with something that we already had. We also realized we had to roll this out slowly. Too much, too fast, it'll crash and burn. So we phased in this approach. We also kept in mind that the balance between traditional learning and this new AI piece, there had to be. It couldn't be one side or the other. I want to tell you, some districts decided to forget AI, and they stuck with this. That could be a problem for them later on. And that's them, but this is us, balancing it. Also keeping in mind that AI does not replace the human element. The human element will still be there and will always be there. Then we realized our teachers needed to get involved, but they needed to understand how we could use it. So we needed some training. And so Mary is going to share what that looked like.
Thank you. One of the things that was really powerful about our time at the county task force time is every time we left, we left with a task or an idea, something to build upon when we went back to the district. In November of 2024, the task that was presented to us was next steps. It was quite easy for us because we were sort of like this all the meeting, ready to do things. But we were pawing and we were ready, and we knew collectively before even talking about it, although we did talk about it, that our next steps were to take all of the challenges that were discussed, because there were many, and all of the opportunities that were discussed with the Michigan virtual person that came to work at the county with us, take all of that and apply it to Brighton. Because we knew we have a culture here, we know we have curriculum, programs, ideas, academic standards, and community values that we wanted to put the lens of AI on. We wanted to look at all the things in place and see how AI can enhance that. And so we literally created a think tank. We showed up before school in the morning at Brighton High School, and we just talked. We threw ideas. We did one of my very favorite things. We made our thinking visible. We drew arrows, we erased, we added, we commented. We made all of our thinking visible, and we decided and we talked about how we can localize the insights that we had at LESA, that we learned. And we realized that there was definitely a dual focus. Teacher, staff, educator efficacy needed to be a major conversation, and how we could use AI for deeper understanding of content. Not just memorization, but how can we understand our kids better, and how can our kids truly understand what we're teaching at a deeper level. And then we began having conversations about, as this unrolls, we need clear policies, we need guidance. We need to explain what responsible use is. Academic integrity, what does it mean to use it as a tool? Data and privacy. Our kids' privacy matters. How can we use it? How can we use this tool but maintaining that privacy? We developed goals, we set a timeline, we wanted to support teachers in experimenting safely, we wanted to build a shared understanding, and we wanted to create resources to help. Simultaneously, as we were doing that, we can take no credit, but the curriculum department brought in Eric Kurtz, a leader in the AI world worldwide. And he worked with the teachers last year on all different kinds of things. The overarching idea was, let's move beyond skill acquisition to really understanding curiosity, inquiry, and a shared language with our kids. Overarching idea behind our task force is we want AI to enhance good teaching and learning and not replace it.
So we had that for the teachers. The next part was building leaders and district leaders. What do we do? And so we had this meeting. And this was in April of 2025, where we talked about the 6 components of a perfect prompt. And then we took our data, our information from our own buildings, and we said, what can it do for this? How can we break this down? And simply, this is our current data that we had at the time. And we broke it down into a data analysis, the pros and the cons, kind of a SWOT analysis of sorts. But from here, this is great to have these goals. The next part is, how are we going to get better? And so then we had to break it down even more into bullet points, into targeted interventions. So the administrators then took all of this information and then had some staff meetings.
Okay, so at that same meeting, our Ed Council meeting, we also presented a universal tool for all of our principals to use across the district. So we had a slide deck And within here, there were different types of levels and examples and the prompting tools that we were just talking about to help them really dive into this with staff and let the staff know where we were as a district with everything for our teachers. So the task then was to take this information and at our last staff meetings of the year in the spring to present this to them along with some other resources that would kind of help bring everything together for the end of the year. So one of the tools that we did give them was this do's and don'ts of AI use. This is just a very general guideline of ways, like they were already talking about how we can enhance the learning and the teaching versus replacing it. So we gave them this tool and it broke it down by different grade levels so that they could use this in their staff meetings. From there, when we came back in August, we had some collaborative department time during our professional learning at the end of August, right before school started. We reshared that do's and don'ts out, and this time we're really focusing this year on how we can also now deliver this to our students. So last year was focused on the staff, this year is focused on the students. So pulling this forward, our tech department also vetted and shared out some approved AI applications for our staff to use in their classrooms. There are several different things going on around the district right now. Our ELA classes at the high school are incorporating some of these do's and don'ts in their introductory lessons, as well as this week, our 9th graders are all getting a library orientation and our media specialist is also going through this with them as well. So that's where we're at right now, focusing on how we can make things better for our kids and our staff. Thank you.
Any questions for our group before we go?
Through the work that has been done thus far, what are some specific tangible applications of artificial intelligence that the committee proposed for students to use the technology and apply it in their learning at school?
Go ahead. Yep. So part of the presentation that we prepared that we presented to the ad council to administrators, we created a choice menu to present to the teachers. One side was efficiency of your job and the other is instructional practicality. And it went from everywhere. My students, I use School AI and I create conversations for them. One of them is they traveled with a water droplet through a water cycle that had to involve Lake Superior at some point. But I am happy to email you, Mr. Swarm, those menus so you can see that.
That's a really good example for a 3rd grade student. How about high school? And just out of curiosity, because that's a very, very good example.
Well, actually the kids developed that. I noticed that there was a misconception in their understanding of how the water cycles work. And then one of the kids said, they had a wonder. They said, how long does it take a water droplet to go through the whole cycle and get back into Lake Superior? And I went, well, we're going to hang out with the water droplet for a while. We did it together. So,
So I think our big focus right now is making sure that the students understand how to use AI to help enhance their learning versus replacing it. So a lot of our parents have kind of reached out already, our 9th grade parents saying, can you help us with this? We want to make sure that our kids aren't using AI at home to replace homework. And so they've really appreciated this general guideline use of ways that they can kind of monitor what they're using AI for at home. So a lot of the projects that we're kind of working on right now in the English department and other departments are really teaching them how to use it for research. Just like when Google first came out, like how do we use the internet, right, instead of replacing what we're doing, but just enhancing our learning.
Can I ask a question about, in that teaching in the classroom, I'm imagining this is happening, that there's also some teaching on constructive evaluation of what results you get, right? Because AI, like everything else, is only as good as what went into it.
Sure.
So is that part of the conversation too in the classroom? Just because it comes back doesn't mean it's necessarily the truth, and you can't just immediately change the words and put it on. Yeah, okay, great.
that's all part of the digital literacy that we teach, even at a young age. So I will model how it's not going well. And we'll annotate what's coming up on the screen. There's a model, especially the elementary, I do, we do, you do. And there's a lot of I do in front of them and a lot of we do. And we also learn proper prompting. What to ask when you don't understand the language, when you don't understand the words, and things like that. And just like Google. You find quotes from Abraham Lincoln that word he didn't say. And so it's that whole digital literacy component of it. I believe that the educators in the district have a sense of that need, for sure.
I have a question for you. So I use AI at work. We use it a lot at work. It makes me appear to be much more intelligent than I am in many of my reports. Do you see that in the classrooms now? Are the kids using it? Is it a concern that they're doing that? And how do you handle it?
So that's right. So there was a specific example that someone told me the other day that they just knew by the answer that was given that AI might have been used. And so they asked a couple of follow-up questions, and then the student really had no idea how to answer those questions. They kind of flushed that out and just kind of guided them. And next time when you're working on this, how can we properly use AI to help you with that research versus doing your homework for you? So,
Honestly, I like your approach because actually I do make sure that I understand what it is I'm writing. And it does. It helps you with your vocabulary in many instances. And so it can be learning. It's great that you ask. If they can answer it fluently, would you be like, okay, that's good? I mean,
well,
yeah.
I do think it circles back to lesson design.
Right. Okay.
When it's a question that can be easily Googled or looked up on ChatGPT, and that's the only measure you have for the child's understanding, then that's a concern. And I do think ultimately, and maybe I just have rose-colored glasses on, I do think this is going to lead to better lesson design, like constructive output from students. Our two children in our home were very slow adopters to the tool. My husband and I were drinking the Kool-Aid, and they were like, I can't, it's cheating, I'm cheating. And what we said to them is, if you would stand in line to ask the teacher that question, and the teacher would just answer, to give you the information and forward with your opinion, you should feel comfortable using a school-approved language model. And that's sort of framing behind that.
Thank you. Any other questions?
And this is probably beyond the scope of this, but are we looking at using AI to help the kids that are struggling to get a concept the way a teacher might teach it, and maybe AI could put it in other language and help them some more individual student instruction?
I think every day in every school, especially with Eric Kurtz presented the school AI, which you create. The website calls it a tutor, but you create a tutor, and I actually prompt the tutor when I create it, and then I link it to Google Classroom, and as the children are answering it, I get real feedback. The student does not understand this. The student is ready for advanced instruction in this. The student, so I have never actually gotten student feedback more efficiently than when I use that. It groups the kids together. These kids are ready for this. These kids are ready for this. These children need enrichment. It's quite extraordinary. And so, absolutely.
I would just strongly encourage all the involved parties that are touching and using artificial intelligence within Brighton area schools to embrace it. It's the future, and you can resist the change all day, every day, and I'm happy to hear we're not, as a district, resisting the change. A lot of people are. It's transforming the world as we speak. And so the sooner we adopt it and find ways to leverage the tool to help our school and help our students, the further we will be out in front of the other districts that we compete with for students, and also to ultimately help further education here in our area. So I commend the committee for taking the lead and Nice job.
Thank you all. This is
Thank
an
you.
amazing group of people. Thank you all for your work. Thanks for presenting tonight. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, great. So that brings us now to the call to the public. This is the opportunity for anyone in attendance to address the board. I have a couple cards up here. If you would like to speak to the board and you have not filled out a card, we would ask that you do so, and you can turn it in next to Dr. Mosier. You have 3.
Ready? In August of 2023, I caught the student who raped our daughter trying to break into the school. I filmed it, I called my legal team, and I called the police to make a report. And instead of protecting me, Brighton PD made me the problem. Because of the school officer, they told Brighton PD the determination letter we had wasn't active, even though it states otherwise. But here's the truth. This student is not allowed to be on school grounds unsupervised. Yet there he was, pulling on locked doors to an area of Brighton High School he had zero business entering if he was going to practice. And in the police report, a coach vouched for him. A coach who was not even in the school and was not watching him. For the record, you guys did nothing. And let's talk about the Title IX coordinator. Why is this person still handling cases in this district? This is the same person who said a 13-year-old could consent. So parents in the room, I want you to hear this. Brighton's Title IX coordinator said a child could consent to sex at 13 years old. It was my daughter. This is the best part. I got a call that this school board, you guys were coming for me. Is that a threat? You guys, really? Really? A mother standing here begging you to protect children is who you come after? And if it's true, if that's true, it's not just failure, it's corruption. And let me be clear, I'm not afraid of you. If this board is more focused on silencing me than protecting kids, then every parent in this room deserves to know that. You don't come for me. You come for broken policies, for adults who enabled this, for the culture that protects athletes and abandons survivors. If the best you can do is threaten a mother who refuses to shut up, then I promise I'll get louder. While you guys were arguing in this very room about Title IX policies were failing, my daughter was in the hospital. She was in Beaumont in PQ, fighting for her life because she tried to take her own life. I found her dead. Do you know what that's like? Do you have any idea? Because your system failed so badly, so badly. That's not protection at all. This isn't a scandal, it's a testimony of how you failed my daughter, how this district prioritizes reputation over children's safety, a testimony of how you put silence over accountability and power over truth. And one day, I promise you, the truth is going to come out. Every cover-up, every failure, every time you chose to protect the system instead of the students. And when it does, I promise this, I'm coming for your jobs. If you cannot protect children, you have no right to sit in those seats. No right. The more you come for me, the louder I'll get. I'm not afraid of you. And I will not stop until every parent in this district knows exactly how badly you failed and continue to fail with your Title IX policies. The past 3 years of my life have been hell. This is not about me, it's about every child who deserves to feel safe in your schools. And you've already shown us exactly where your priorities lie.
The next card is Sid Atkins.
Good evening. I'm Sid Atkins, choir district president and longtime Brighton parent. Don't worry, I'm not here to talk about the school bond tonight. Instead, I'd like to talk about the Maltby Intermediate School and the role it plays in shaping the education paths of our students. At Maltby, students can choose band, orchestra, choir, or year-long PE as their encore class. But for those who choose year-long PE, that effectively means bypassing music entirely and ending their music education before it has a chance to begin. I believe that this is a missed opportunity at a critical age. Elementary music is very basic. Intermediate music is where the door really opens. It's the difference between a recorder and a clarinet. It's the difference between hitting blocks together and playing the drums. It's the difference between singing Wheels on the Bus and singing the Beatles. Elementary music keeps kids busy. Intermediate music can unlock the soul. That was true for my son Tyler. He was a sports kid who nearly chose year-long PE instead of choir. We encouraged him to give choir a try and it changed everything. Choir led to 4 years of musicals, leadership in a cappella groups, and now a future studying acting in college. None of it would have happened without the first step in music at Maltby. And I've heard similar stories from other parents. Now I want to be clear, sports are important too. They play a huge role in the well-rounded growth of our kids. But in Brighton, there are so many outlets for sports, both inside and outside the school. What we're talking about here is not taking away from physical education. Every student still has physical education built into their school and built into their schedule through high school. What we're talking about is making sure music doesn't get squeezed out of the picture. Because if a child never steps into a music classroom at this age, they may never discover a passion or talent they did not know they had. This isn't just about creating singers or musicians. I recently spoke with a leader in the tech industry who told me she specifically looks for music education for coders, that they've had strong music background. Why? Well, because music teaches pattern recognition, it teaches problem solving, and it teaches persistence. She also said, in today's online world, students who can stand in front of others and communicate have a huge advantage. Music and performing builds that comfort and confidence. So the question is this: will we give every child a chance to discover music, or will we let many pass by without ever stepping into it? I ask you to consider how Brighton can ensure all students at Maltby are exposed to music. It's not just about strengthening our arts program. It's about giving students the chance to discover passions, skills, and the confidence that can change their lives. Thank you.
25th, 2025. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes as presented? Moved by Mr. Storm, support by Dr. Krebs. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any nays? That motion passes 6-0. Item C, the Human Resources Report.
We do not have a report today.
Okay, that moves us to item D, the MASB delegates. As described by President Myers during our last meeting, we are a voting member of the Michigan Association of School Boards, and as such, the delegate assembly occurs on October 23rd this year. We have to certify a member to attend as well as an alternate. And we will do that tonight by selection. I understand that we have a volunteer, Ms.
Voluntold. Of last resort.
And perhaps an alternate as well, Ms. Kearney. So I can make a motion, I guess. I'll make the motion to appoint Trustee Urbane as the delegate and Trustee Tierney as the alternate to represent Brighton Board of Education at the 2025 MASB Delegate Assembly on Thursday, October 23rd. 2025, supported by Mr. Storm. Any discussion?
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you both. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any nays? That passes 6-0 and moves us to item E, the school meal program. Dr. Outlaw, would you like to share some information on that?
Sure. So as many of you know, the state budget is not complete. And we're running up to the deadline. September, the end of this month is the deadline. If we do not have a state budget by October 1st, they've exhausted, I think it's considered to be in shutdown at that point, is what I understand. Ms. Urbane, am I correct? That's the correct terminology?
Yes, if there is no budget by October 1, the state will move into a shutdown mode.
Mrs. Urbane works in government relations, that's why I'm dealing to her. We have a dilemma. We've had the school meals program for the past 2 years. And so all students get free breakfast and free lunch. I know that the state legislature is ironing out the details, and it appears that the free lunch program will continue once a finalized budget is completed, but it may not be completed by October 1st. So the dilemma becomes, what do we do in October to give you an example, in the 2022 school year, before we went to the free meals program, we had approximately 40,000 lunches that were served. In our free meals program, we served 76,000 lunches. Breakfast, approximately 4,000 before, 24,000 after. Huge number. So we have scaled up our entire operation for this free meals program. So I'm putting the question in front of the board is what do we do while the state figures things out? If we get to October, we don't have a state budget, what do we do? To transition for a few weeks or even a month, only to go back to a free meals program is enormously disruptive for, obviously for families, one, but also for our operation department. We're staffed for free meals. We have done supplying, ordering, and everything. All of our systems are built on that 76,000 meal program. So, so I'm putting in front of you to consider possibly extending the free meals program and potentially the cost of the district for 1 month to give us time to make adjustment to the state budget. Most likely, the state will include this somewhere in the budget, and it will end up not costing the district, but I'm putting this in front of you for discussion and a potential motion.
Start with the motion, or do we have a discussion first?
I think you could do it either way, because this did not go for future action before.
I would like to I have some discussion points, but I would like to get the motion on the table.
That's fine.
I would like to make a motion that we continue the free lunch program through October 31st, 2025, and reassess after the state budget is passed.
Support. So we have a motion by Mr. Bain, supported by Mr. Stahl, and now discussion.
I understand the challenges of the back and forth, and it makes sense to me that we need time to ramp down. I am less encouraged that it will continue from the state level, as you are, Dr. Ella. We've talked about that. There may be a possibility that there is a lump sum categorical that the state says you can use this on whatever you want, including free lunch. Given the fact that our third graders are only 57% proficient and we don't have as much need in Brighton as maybe some other areas, I would like that money to go to tutoring and not necessarily free meals for kids that don't need them. Anyone who needs them absolutely should get them. But I am not in favor if it's a lump sum categorical that we can use to get our kids proficient in reading. I would not be in favor of using that for free meals for families that are far above the poverty level. Including my own kids, they don't need free meals. I enjoy it, don't get me wrong, I like not having to pack lunches. But we've got other needs in this district, and getting our kids to read, in my mind, is more important. So I am in favor to give us a transition, but I'm just putting it on record that I'm not in favor of continuing it if it is not a specific categorical for free meals. I would be in favor, though, of exploring some potential options, and I know it gets difficult, I'm not sure it's possible, but looking at those families that may not qualify for even reduced lunch, but are maybe 20% over that threshold, that we use our excess meals funds to continue that for the full year for those kids. But I'm not in favor of taking a family who's making, 8-figure salaries and paying for free lunch when we have kids who can't read.
You bring up the question I have about it in general. If we are not a district that has a lot of people that need that, and I believe our percentages are small, then why are so many people using it now? Is it perhaps they, because I know a lot of kids that partake in it and eat more. My son is one. But you know, and clearly it's not that we can't afford it, but he finds it to be extra food. So is there a need that we're unaware of? In other words, is there a way for us to find out who are the people that are taking it, and do they have a need and they're just under the radar and maybe embarrassed to say anything about it? Because I think that's what we're seeing is people that aren't saying anything for many reasons, including pride. I know I would have a hard time with it, and this is helping. So I'd like to know if there's a way for us to find that out. I mean, you can't make people say, but maybe we can take a look at life improvements by the children that are using it, and perhaps kind of tells a story. But I feel like there's more people using it because there is a bigger need than perhaps we think we have in this district. So if there's a way to do that.
I'd like to say something first. The decision on the table, I want to go Hamilton there, run it. The decision on the table right now is, should we extend it through October? I think we should wait to have that discussion about what happened with the budget until we know more information. Right now, these are all hypotheticals, and we can gather some more information if we need to. But right now, the discussion is about the October, extending it through October. And I would definitely support extending it through October for the reason of keeping the food services prepared, that this is what they planned for, this is what they're ready for. Our families, this is what they planned for, this is what they're prepared for. I think it's a lot to pull out of the rug out from underneath them at this point. So I would support this, the motion as it was stated, because that's what we're discussing right now.
So just a quick comment, and I won't venture too deep into politics, but to respond to your question/comment, it's called socialism. So when you give people anywhere in the world something for free, they naturally want more of it because they don't have to pay for it. So it's all over the news. You can Google, use the AI to learn all about the grocery store that they opened up in St. Louis, Missouri that provided free groceries to the community. And miraculously, all the shelves in the grocery store were empty because everybody that came to the grocery store took the free groceries and left. So the role of prices in a capitalistic environment that we live in is to, as equitably as possible, distribute scarce resources. Prices serve that function in our economy and in a capitalistic society that we live in. If there are no prices and things are provided to the population for free, they naturally want more of what's being given to them for free. And this is a great example of that. So there's all kinds of cool books you can read all about macroeconomics, but one thing is clear: if something is free, people will consume it. And the demand will far exceed the supply. Thus the role of prices.
Just one comment to talk about Mr. Stahl, about people that might be, their pride get in the way of filling out the forms. I will tell you, we need those forms as a district for all kinds of things. And if they don't fill it out for free and reduced lunch, we actually get less title dollars. We get less potential scholarships in, the pay to play. There's so many other things that we need those forms filled out for that we actually can't afford as a district to just say, don't worry about filling out the forms. We need them.
I share the same sentiments as Mrs. Urbane. I agree with you completely on all fronts. I think we should continue through October, extending the free and reduced lunch, but I think we should revisit it after that if, in fact, the state does not continue with free lunch for all. However, I do think that there is a population of students. I think we have usually about 800 students that are certified for the free and reduced lunch program. And then there's a swath of kids, I think, in between there that need the free reduced lunch. And I think we should look at possibly an idea for how to get that to those families that need it, if that is what it comes to. But for now, I think continuing through October makes sense.
I'm in support as well of the motion that's on the table, extending it through October 31st. So with that being said, do we have additional discussion? Okay, so we have a motion to extend the meals through October 31st, 2025, waiting for the state budget information to come through. It was presented by Mr. Bain, seconded by Mr. Stahl. All those in favor, signify by aye. Aye. Any nays? That passes 6-0, and that moves us to, for future action, policy package. Okay, Mr. Mansell.
All right, so we have, as a committee, met 2 times leading up to the policy package that we have in front of you today. So the first 5 pages or so is a summary of each of these, and then you have the policy and the edits in front of you as well. So most of these were policies that were recommended by Trude in their June 2025 packet. Every year they do one time where there's kind of a mass update, and that's what we're looking at here. There may be a few others that were sprinkled in throughout there, but the majority of them through that packet. Also, the majority of these are what we consider a little bit more of the straightforward ones, either clerical or different changes within the law that they had to reference. And so there are still a few that are a little bit more complex, and the community's taking a little bit more time looking at those. So we will be coming later with a few more policies, but this is the group we're presenting today.
Any questions? Okay, that moves us to item B, bond survey. Dr. Otto.
In your packet on page 69, there are 3 different options for a potential community survey regarding a bond. All 3 companies, we have Epic MRA, Mitchell Research, and MRG. All 3 reputable companies, all 3 have been vetted, and I think there's strong accuracy that can be associated with all 3 of these different proposals. The question becomes, does the board wish to go out and have us do a community survey? If you do, we'd like to be able to proceed with one of these 3. With that, I'm going to turn it back to you. What kind of questions do you have for me?
What's the cost?
So the costs are, depends on how many questions, but I think we would probably do, so for example, Epic MRA, the cost is for a 12-minute interview for up to 300 people is $15,000. For Mitchell Research is the lowest priced of the 3. I've worked with Mitchell Research in the past. It was a very good experience. For 200 with up to 25 questions, it's $6,900. If there's 300 people, it's $10,000. And then MRG for 200, it's $7,500, and for 300 people, it is $10,900. So those are the costs.
Is this something that was initiated, or, the solicitations were requested on behalf of the administration, or was it someone else that recommended or sought this out?
So our construction management team in their campaigns, they use Epic MRA typically. That was one that was recommended by Epic MRA. We wanted to have 3 different options. I had worked with Mitchell Research, so we got theirs, and then Ms. Urban gave us, she's worked with the MRG, had good experience with them, so we had 3 different references, so we had a couple different models to look at.
So just for the public's benefit, the construction firm that we elected approached the administration and recommended that we solicit quotes from firms that do market research.
They didn't say that. As part of their bond planning, the timeline, it includes a community search.
Who requested it? That's all I'm asking.
Who requested it? I would be the official person requesting it,
Awesome.
But I didn't come up with out of the blue. It is what they do in the campaign.
So you requested it?
I'm requesting it.
Awesome, thank you. That's all.
So one of the things I think The reason we decided to wait and not run the bond in November is we felt that we couldn't make those decisions. We didn't have a good sense of what the community wanted. So I think it would make a lot of sense to hear from some more people and give them some more input. So I would support this.
The other piece of information, I guess, that I wouldn't mind seeing is a handful of schools that were successful last year. Which firm did they use and were they happy with them? You said I've worked with MRG on a number of projects, both personal and professional. I've been very pleased with them. I've also done work with both Mitchell and Epic. Those are pretty much the three that run this. There isn't a lot of others here in the state of Michigan. Some of them tend to lean one way or another, just depending on how many cell phones they sample and, the younger people versus older people type thing. I think the Epic MRA is much more not as in line price-wise as the other two. I don't know that I have a preference on the other two, but I just would like to see what other districts have used for this particular thing, because polling for a candidate is different than polling for a bond.
What's the intent of the survey? So if we speak to, say, 300 households, what's the intent? And I ask it through the context of the survey that was already conducted.
So the goal of this is to get feedback from the community that can be provided to the board on who's voting, what are some of the priorities, how do they feel about some of the projects that you're considering, how do they feel about perhaps some of the amount of money that you're going for, some of the goals that maybe you've established. Those are things that we can work on the questions. But ultimately, we want them asking the exact questions that you all need answers to. So if you're going to be voting in February on whether to go out for a bond or not, what do you need to know from the community? That's what this will be. It's for you.
And the survey we did is obviously voluntary participants. This would survey the community, so it might be people that don't have kids. It might be, so you're going to get a better read of where the community temperature is and how much work we need to put in.
I'm all in on the survey. Like I've sat at this table for many years and suggested we should do more surveys. So I'm all in on the survey. It's just getting clarity on what we'll be using it for.
Were you given, and I don't know, it might say in here and I may have missed it, time frame on when they need those questions and how quickly they can turn that around so that we could back that out for planning purposes? If we're going to be potentially talking about this in February, we need time before that to digest it.
Absolutely.
And we're not going to be surveying them during the middle of holiday season probably.
They all have lead time.
Okay.
But give you an example of MRG. MRG, like there's like a date that we contract with them, and there's identifying what their questions are. It really will take them a month from the start all the way to the finish to be able to administer that and get it to you. This board is going to be, I'm recommending that you're going to begin narrowing, having heavy discussions in November, December. So I think if you could have it before November, I think that would be ideal. I would say if you could have this completed before November 1st, then you have good data. When you're talking, you know what the community is saying. You have all the information at your fingertips.
From my experience, they can be in the field in 5 days. I mean,
Turn it around.
And then it depends on how long it takes them to get to those 300.
Sure.
I mean, a month is a good time frame. I personally think being in the field in January is better than being in the field in November, but.
So our next board meeting is October 13th. And if you look at that, this is the day after, so that would be mid-November, probably by the time you would get information. Is that enough time for the board?
To make a decision by the 13th?
No, to receive the information. Over November, December, that's when you're going to be deliberating as a board. Is the middle of November, is that too late? Does it need to be earlier than that?
I mean, personally, I think we should narrow things down so that helps us formulate the questions. Narrow it down, then go to the field in January to ask the questions in January, once we've narrowed things instead of more pie in the sky. But that's my personal preference.
If you're gonna call for a May election, it's gonna be at the beginning of February, and you're probably gonna have to make those decisions a little bit earlier than that, so I'd probably recommend going up a little before that.
Well, maybe we can move back some of our deliberations, because I agree with you. I think, your responses are only as valuable as the questions you ask. And so if we have questions that are really generic, we're going to get responses that are really generic. And I don't know if that's going to ultimately help us make decisions. So I do agree with you that having a little bit more definition about projects would be helpful if we're going to invest the time and money to survey, which I'm in favor of. I think it's a good idea, but I do want to make sure the timing works and also that we're asking good questions so we get good answers.
So I can reach out and gather some information on that and then be prepared for October 13th to answer some of the questions that you have. And then we'll see what they maybe recommend for a May election.
Sure.
And can you, if we find other districts that have used some of these firms, can we guess what the questions they ask to?
Yeah, the examples, that would be great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good idea.
Sure we can.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? All right, that closes for future action and moves us to board committee chair reports and community recognition.
I'll go with facilities if that's okay.
Sure.
I'm just going to discuss our last meeting at Horning and Maltby. At Horning, a couple finds were the media center. They split into two different things. I'm not even sure what they are, but it's not used like a media center more, so that might be something we would want to look at and come up with some changes. The classroom, they are asking for more classrooms. I think the number that they were asking for is 2. In looking at the plan further, office is going to move forward according to the plan as we've got it right now, which opens up space behind them for classrooms. So that might actually take care of that problem. We did discuss some of our pie in the sky stuff, the new gymnasium possible addition in the back. It's on the side by the athletic fields from the lunchroom area and the current media/gym. We also found that there's an awful lot of space back there if you pace out where we might be with that gym. And I, of course, brought up the parking lot and people and cars problem again, because it's one of my things. And we do have space to do something, and I think they're going to try and work something out of this for us. I gave them an idea. I got the blessings of that lady down there. And here's the general plan. We move the playscapes and area that the kids use for that to the center of the 2 buildings. We do a driveway between Bauer and Brighton Road that goes around the back of the building. There's plenty of room for that without taking out those fields, but I do propose taking out 2 of those fields to make a parking lot specific for Horning and Maltby, one behind Maltby and one behind Horning. It also, as I was thinking farther with it, if we leave driveway in front of the buildings with parking on the side, that allows for parents to come in quick for meetings and things like that. So we're giving them a parking lot, creating a loop that should get most of the vehicles off of the road and into the building. At least that's the hope. I'll find out. I'll do some surveys and check it out. But it's a possibility. I really want to fix that problem. So I'm going to bring it up every time, but I just wanted to give you a report. If we did walk it, talk it, and it looks like we've got some space back there to work with. It might not work. And they brought up carpet. We definitely need carpet in that building. They don't have an awful lot of needs, at least they're being humble about it, but those are the general ones. And I'm sure discussions will continue. At Maltby, right away, the powers that be there wanted us to talk first about bleachers in the gymnasium. That is something that they have a problem with. They're old, they work, they're not the greatest, sometimes they don't work so good. They've never been replaced, so that's a good possibility there that we can help Maltby with. Perhaps some windows in that rear wall in the gymnasium would bring in some natural light. They are talking about natural light already in the plan, skylights in classrooms, those type of things. we asked the question, it was asked by someone, maybe it was you, do they want that? Because, and our principal did share, well, some do, some don't. So it almost, if you put them in, there are going to be those that, I call them P pads, those blue pads that they put where their lights and rooms. They're going to put them on there because they don't want that bright light. So we might want to just have more discussion, let them poll their people and see how many would want it and how many wouldn't. There's no sense in putting these skylights in every room if everyone doesn't want them. So that'll be some more discussion. We also, the ladies brought up while we're standing there in the main vestibule, that's a space that could use an awful lot of light and some redesign, so we got them working on that. I think that got me where I wanted to be with all that. Mr. Storman brought up at a previous meeting, is there any reason why we can't move forward with the air conditioning in the gymnasiums? It is something that is an ongoing problem, and use our funds for that. I think I'll ask to have that put on the agenda for next time, so we can make a decision on that and get moving forward, unless someone wants to do that sooner than that. And Mr. Thompson, I think, has some things that need to be taken care of sooner. We had a slight discussion, so those are probably going to come to us on our next committee meeting, so we can move forward on some things that can be done.
So the academic committee met today, this morning, and we spent a lot of the time talking about test scores. We know that those came back. We need to get some more information on them, so we'll continue to talk about this, get some more information. We're looking at what the plans are moving forward. Additionally, we talked about the PD plan for the year. One of the things Dr. Mosher mentioned is really getting it at the building level to get the teachers to get it, the staff getting it into the classroom to support them in their classrooms with that. And then we talked about nutrition education, what the nutrition education curriculum is. And that was it for that one. And I guess, can I say that we have because Roger's not here, we have a finance committee meeting on Wednesday.
Other committee reports or comments? Student nutrition committee met. Hopefully parents that are paying attention have noticed a change in some of the offerings. We've increased some varieties. You should be seeing more fresh fruit and vegetables for the kids this year, strawberries, blueberries, green beans, broccoli. So we're working in positive momentum to get more changes for the students. And I guess comment about the Brighton High School marching band. They had a performance Saturday. They practiced all day, and then they went out to Walled Lake Central, where they participated in a preview show, and it was a great opportunity to showcase their hard work, and then also connect with other fellow musicians and performers while they were celebrating the spirit of music and teamwork. And I wanted to thank Mr. Sweetie for arranging the opportunity for our marching band members to participate in it.
I would just like to comment how we are doing our facilities meetings, where we are hosting them and allowing additional board members to have input because the bond is such a big project. I would like to call on the board to consider doing that for the academic committee, if not all of our committees. It requires a posting. We are in somewhat of a crisis in our academics here in this district. 57% of our third graders are reading on grade level. Mississippi is now 20 spots or more ahead of Michigan. They placed a concerted effort on literacy and the science of reading and making sure kids are at the appropriate grade levels that they are reading at in their schooling. The Secretary of Education was in Michigan today, along with Congressman Wahlberg, Congressman Molinar, and Congressman Owens from Utah. And one of the things they spent time, I was fortunate enough to be there today, is doubling down on literacy. And the schools that are far exceeding the average in growth in literacy have really already, we are doubled down on the science of reading and phonics. We are far behind in this district. And one of the things that every state leader, from the speaker to the Secretary of Education to the congressman, said is, don't wait for us. Districts, you can do this, and you should with an urgency move ahead. So I want to continue us moving ahead. We have a curriculum problem in the school. I know we are working on it, but we need to do so with urgency, and I would like to request that the academic committee be open to more board members so that we can ask these important questions.
Any additional comments? Okay. So that closes board committee chair reports, community recognition. Our next regular meeting will be Monday, October 13th, 2025. I believe that is back at the Prexel Room, right? 7 p.m. start. And we have a motion to go into closed session.
I'll make that motion to enter closed session for the purpose of discussion, discussing negotiation strategies connected with BEA, BAS and BAS bargaining units, and as much as the administration has requested a closed session.
We have a support by Dr. Krebs, motion by Mr. Saul. Any discussion? Okay. Ms. Ackermite, roll call vote, please. Mr. Storm?
Yes.
Mrs. Urbane?
Yes.
Mr. Stahl?
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney?
Yes.
Dr. Krebs?
Yes.
Mrs. Marks? Yes. We've now concluded all the scheduled business items on our agenda for today. Following the closed session, we will reconvene in the media center to do a walkthrough of the building. The public is welcome to attend that if they so choose. So we'll come back out here and you may join us. And then the meeting will be officially adjourned following that walkthrough. Thank you.
Go to that corner officer.